Good evening, everybody. This is Kim Tucker with Mid-America Association of Real Estate Investors, and I want to thank everyone for taking time to join us on the webinar tonight at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, on a Sunday night. Taking time out like that really will set you above the rest. So why is Mike on the webinar tonight? Why is he taking time out on his Sunday, as well as the time he took out last Thursday to share with us why we should never call ourselves a landlord? And again, he's coming back and sharing time with us on Tuesday. This is in a couple days, and he's going to also be joining us, Best Ever Tool for Landlords, and it's free. That's our webinar on Tuesday. Why is he having these webinars? Well, he really wanted to take a little bit of time, one, to get you a little bit more acclimatized to how Mike teaches and what he has to say. He's also doing these because he's coming in to teach at our monthly meeting and on a workshop in September, and he just can't teach everything in the short amount of time that he will be here, so he is sharing a little bit of pre-information, if you will, kind of like your homework. So what is going on at the meeting? Well, on Tuesday, September 8th, he was going to share with us 10 proven keys to consistently get paid over 100% of your rents every month. We're going to have a lot of door prizes and a ton of information. You're going to walk away with pages of notes, I'm sure. So be sure to bring something to take notes. But what else is going on? What does this cost? Where is it at? Yada, yada, yada. So this is going to be September 8th. We start at 6 p.m. and go till 9. 6 to 7 is networking, so be sure to bring business cards and take time to meet new people during the networking. We meet at the Holiday Inn at Overland Park. That's at 8787 Reeder Road. That's about 87th and I-35, 87th and 69 Highway. And we are on the top floor for our meeting. So you'll take the elevators to the 8th floor. What does it cost? Members attend for free. We'd like you to pre-register if you can, so we know how many people are coming. First-time guests, if you pre-register, you can pre-register for free through our website, mary.org. Everybody else, if you would like to join, that'd be great. But if you still want to check out a meeting before you join, it's $15 if you pre-register on our website, or it's $25 at the door. So save 10 bucks, go online and pre-register. And then he's coming back on the 12th, and he's going to be sharing more of his landlording on autopilot information. In the morning, he will be covering fill your vacant before they move out. So before your tenants move out, how do you have a new one lined up? Then we're going to break for lunch, and after lunch, he's going to share how to screen your tenants in 15 minutes or less. That's going to be September 8th, same hotel. We'll probably be in a different room than the meeting. I think we're moving to a little bit bigger room, so we'll have a little bit more space. And we'll start, doors open at 8:30. Mike will go on stage or on teaching mode at 9 a.m., and we will run till about 5. And the price, early bird pricing, is $49 for members, $59 for a guest, or $79 for 2 members. Or excuse me, $79 for 2 non-members. Now, if you are a member, we do have a 2-for-1 early registration special. So if you have a spouse or a child or a parent, cousin, family member, or a business partner that would like to attend with you, our early bird pricing does include a 2-for-1 price. Just select that you have 2 people coming and be sure to let us know who the second person is. So that's what we've got going on. Let's go ahead and get the show started and introduce you to Mike. I wanted to share his story. I thought this was awesome. While he was working his full-time job as an undercover police detective in Louisville, Kentucky, and as an undercover police detective, he worked murder for hire cases, contract killing cases, organized crime cases, and doing all that, it took 55 to 80 hours a week. And I know some of us can relate to working that many hours a week and still trying to find time for our real estate investing. And so he had about 5 hours a week to devote to his real estate investing. And at that time, he was averaging buying 2.5 rentals a week to add to his portfolio. And at one point, while he was still working as the undercover detective, he had 75 rentals that he and his wife were managing. His wife was still in nursing school, and they had 2 young daughters. And to do all that, plus manage 75 rentals on 5 hours a week, he had to come up with a system. And he worked real hard, put his system together, and it came out as his Landlording on Autopilot book and training courses that he has, and he's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks to share more information, and he's with us on the call tonight. So I will turn the call over to you, Mike.
We should have me right here. How's that? But to clean up just a little bit, to tweak what Kim shared with you about me, okay, I don't want you to think I was the one doing the killings, okay? I worked as a long-term undercover police detective, and my investigations were murder for hire, contract killings, and organized crime. Those were the things that my unit focused on, and we got to be pretty good at that. And as far as discovering my real estate investing business, when I got started, I had less than 5 hours a week to devote to it, with everything going on in your daily life cycle, 24 hours in a day. And out of that, I had my job, I had my overtime, I had my going to court, I had my kids, I had being a hubby, and doing school activities, after school activities with the girls, whether it be brownies, selling cookies or basketball or church events with them. And so, as you can see, plus my wife was in nursing school and daycare, getting them to and from. So I trust that you can share in the pain and the frustration of how in the world can I find any time to devote to real estate. And in fact, that's one of the reasons right now that you're here and I am here, because I understand the time concern. So I found myself late on Sunday evenings is part of that very small 5-hour window of time I could devote each week to real estate. So thank you for being here. I'm proud of you for doing that, and give yourself an attaboy. And it's doing things like this that's going to set you apart and allow you to just turbocharge your business past even some other full-time real estate investors. It's because you invest in yourself and you get yourself educated, you practice, you implement, and you take action. So so much for me. Let's see. Well, I wrote the book, and I've been featured in Money Magazine twice. And I'm just giving you a little credibility. Why should you listen to Mike Butler here? And we'll wrap that up and get on to the meat and potatoes. So here we go. One of the things that I found out through my school of hard knocks is all the mistakes that I never knew that I was making when it comes to a rental application involving rental properties. And for example, when I got started, when I got my first rental, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue, okay? So I went to Office Depot and got one of those form racks, and I got me a rental application. So I take it over there and I give it to folks that were going to come by, fill out an application. And so how did I process that? Did I know what a credit report was? I heard of a credit report, but even if I had one in my hands, I didn't have a clue what the heck I was looking at and what it means. So I run a credit report. So what I did is I just went to see what this fellow had been locked up for, or what he got in trouble for. And so Jim had a track record of what we'd call hanging bad paper. So back in the day, before internet and technologies and also, if a person had a track record of writing a bunch of bad checks, and they had their track record and their habit was so daggone bad, they got sent to prison for it, they referred to that as hanging bad paper. And so this was my applicant. And so with that, I told Jim, he's probably 50 years old at the time, I said, Jim, tell you what, I'll let you rent this place, but you're going to be a cash-only customer, okay? A cash-only customer due to what I know about you, okay? Excuse me. So that's how I got started, basically, with my very first tenants in the real estate investing world and in the world of rental properties. Now, when Kim said she mentioned something about 75 properties. Here's what I'm going to share you about the system that I created. The system that I created for 5 hours a week, it allowed me to not only buy 2 1/4 deals, or 2 1/4 houses per week was my average, but my wife and I were able to own, operate, and manage 75 rental properties from our office in our basement. Now, when I got to 75, my wife and I got together and said, you know what, this is really getting cumbersome, okay? So at that time, we made a decision to hire a part-time office person to work 5 hours a week to help us out in the property management landlording part. So that's kind of the background there. Now let's fast forward. And let's get up to today, right now, today. And I want to share with you some of the big common mistakes, the fatal mistakes that many investors commit unknowingly with their rental applications. And I got a short list of notes here that I'm going to cover to share with you, because guess what? Okay, I'm not chastising you if you're doing them. Okay, what I'm sharing with you is the things that I did. Okay, that I discovered were kind of like shoot me in the head or shoot me in the foot. And so I don't want you to do that. So learn from my mistakes. And here we go. So number one, the number one thing is your rental application itself. Okay, many of us have seen from either other gurus or websites or things like this, you're going to get a rental application that could be 3, 4, 5, 8 pages long. Oh my gosh, isn't that brutal? Okay, when I developed my rental application after having committed all of these mistakes, I thought space on a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, was precious. Think of that as real estate. So what I wanted, I didn't want an 8-page rental application. I wanted a 1-page rental application that had stuff on both sides. That way, all I had to do is just make copies or print out 2-sided copies, and that was it. So, and I put it on a different colored piece of paper, so I would know that my almond colored papers were rental applications. 1 page, simple. Okay. So now we got that rental application, and it's 1 page, and I'll get into some of the details of that. But the next thing I'm going to share with you is how you hand out your rental application and how you receive it when they submit it and physically hand it back to you. And I'm going to go back to the beginning on how I did this. And so most of the time, I would be at the rental house, the vacant rental house, vacant rental apartment. And I would be there, and we would schedule things like, oh, at 5 o'clock, we're going to have an open house. Okay, and so don't do a 2-hour open house. Don't do Sundays from 2 to 4, because you're going to be all by yourself from 2 to 3:30. Then come along about 20 minutes to 4. Then you're going to have 3, 4, 5 households show up to check this out when you had plans to go to dinner with your family at 4:15. Okay, so just schedule it, make it one time. Okay, we don't even do that anymore today, but I understand how you get started, and this is what I did when I got started. So the people go around, they look at a house. Okay, now they would say, oh, I want an application. So you hand them a 1-page almond-colored rental application, and then they go over to the kitchen counter, and they bend over, and they fill out your rental application. Okay, you may have one household that's doing that. You may have 2 or 3. And if you have 2 or more than one, they feel pressure amongst themselves to get their application filled out first so that they can be first in line to get the house. And old school that was a good thing to create urgency and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know what? The one that turns it in first, what if the greatest, the best applicant writes slow, so they turn theirs in 3rd or 4th? But you got to process the first one. Remember this fair housing thing? You can't just kind of willy-nilly go around and pick who you want, okay? Because they make you happy. Okay, you got to have a written, just cover your butt right. You need to have a written policy and qualifications procedures, that you will, in order to qualify to rent this property. And on my 1-page rental application, on the back side, in the fine print, it has those qualifications. Here's what you need to do to qualify. If you meet this, you qualify, period. So the first one in that qualifies, bingo, they win. All right, so let's get down back to the submitting the application. So you got a household who fills out the application, okay, and then they hand it to you. And I used to do this, so don't think I'm picking on you. Here's what I used to do in the past. So they would hand me their application, okay. They would hand it to me, and then I would begin. Got a HUD-1 here. Oh, I guess that's good. So anyway, they'd hand me the rental application, and I would say, well, hold on a minute here, Wally. Okay, so I'd go through here and look at all the blanks they have on there. You see all the blanks they have on it? Well, then what I would do is take my own ink pen, and I would bend over on the counter, and I would finish asking them questions to fill in the blanks. That is a fatal mistake. Okay, now before you say, but I need all that information to do that, that's fine, okay? The fatal mistake is you saying, hold on a minute, you got some blanks here, let me ask you these questions, and then you start writing on their rental application, on your that they just gave to you. Well, you know what? As soon as you start writing on it, you have destroyed your biggest piece of evidence. And your biggest piece of evidence for you to support you in the decisions or whatever answers that you come up with is the application that they submitted. Now, the application that they submitted, the original one, as soon as you start writing on it, that is gone. Poof, it does not exist anymore. Okay? Now, don't try to argue with me. I've been involved in the court system for many, many, many years, okay? And what they're going to say is, whatever's on this four-corner piece of paper here, that's what counts. So where is their original application? Where's their original application here? Well, I wrote in blue and they wrote in black. No, 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 no. I want to see their original application that they signed. It doesn't exist anymore. You see that? So fatal mistake number one is never, ever write on their application. Now, in addition to that, never, ever quiz them on the spot to get that information. No, stop it. No. So they're going to submit their application to you, and I want you to do two things. That's the best dog out there, raising cane. Two things. What I want you to do is flip it over on the back side and make sure that they have signed it and that they have dated it. Okay? Flip it over to the front side, and the top two lines of my rental application is basically their name, social, ID information, and contact information. My name is Ralph Smith. Okay? My social is this. My birth date is this. My cell phone is this. My email is this. Make sure that that information that's at the very top is legible, okay, so that a fifth grader could read it. Because if you can't read it, my friend, you can't process their application, okay? So you want to make sure that that's legible, okay? And if it's not legible, hand it to them and say, hey, well, then can you print that just a little bit better, a little bit cleaner so that I can read that? And if they can't, and they're not capable of doing that, well, then you take your little notebook out and you just write down what it's supposed to be on your little man purse or that little, even on your cell phone there. You know, you got Google Keep, you got Evernote, you got these things. Because you want to be able to get a hold of these folks, okay? So what if the rest of the application is blank? That's fine. That is fine. Leave it alone. Don't worry about it, okay? Because this is going to be your ammo, what they turned into you. One of the things in the qualifying part, in the fine print on the back page, says that an incomplete application, that's enough for you to disqualify them. Now, isn't that powerful? So you want to make sure that the rental application they turn into you is the original one that they submit to you, and you don't add anything to it. Nothing, okay? Now, next thing to do is stop by Office Depot. Stop by Office Depot or Staples, Office Max, whatever you have in your town. I want you to get two little cheap rubber stamps, okay? And I'm looking to see if I have one here at my home office, and I don't. They're probably all at our real estate office. But anyway, you're going to get one $2 stamp, self-inking stamp that says original. You're going to get another $2 stamp that says copy, C-O-P-Y. So you got their original application. You get back home, okay, or you get back to your real estate office or your home office, and take the front side, okay, of their rental application, put it in your little printer thing that does the scanning or make a copy of it, and so print it out and make a copy of it. And now you've got two of them. You got the original and you got the copy. So on the original, take that rubber stamp and stamp original in the four corners, top two corners, bottom two corners. Take that copy, stamp copy, top two corners, bottom two corners. Now, boldly, loudly, in your face, you can immediately identify which one's the original and which one's the copy. So now guess what we do with the copy? That's the one you're going to work with. That's the one that you're going to write in your notes. That's the one where you're going to fill in the blanks, okay? But their original is still, what do you want to call it? Untouched, precious,
Pristine.
Okay? And base, what, Kim?
It's pristine.
Pristine, yes, that's right, okay? And so if anything ever gets ugly, well, then that's what they turned in, and that's the ammo you're going to use in case you need to use this little thing called An incomplete application is enough to get them disqualified. And by the way, folks, you got to keep the unapproved applications 7 years. 7 years. Who would have thunk of that? I would, in the past when I got started, if they weren't approved, I throw it away, file 13. Can't do that. Fair housing stuff and all this. So anyway, so that's the reason I'm getting real excited and passionate about that one, because that's the biggest mistake. That's mistake number one that a lot of investors fall into that trap, because we're using common sense instead of thinking about covering our butt in case this ever goes to court or fair housing or anything like that at all. And it doesn't take much for somebody to squall and complain and all this. I mean, look, we got attorneys on Jerry Springer. Help us find a landlord to sue. Help us find somebody to sue. We need some more people to sue. So we need to protect ourselves, and that's the biggest thing there. Okay, get your rental application shrunk down to one page. And in fact, you come Tuesday, September the 8th, and on that Saturday workshop, we're going to actually do that. Let me tell you, on Tuesday, September the 8th, I'm going to teach you the 10 keys to consistently get paid over 100% of your rents. No joke, seriously. And you will. You might throw up your things, that's a bunch of baloney, blah, blah, blah. All right, you think so? Come to the meeting, and I'll guarantee you by the end of my training session, you will honestly believe and know in your heart, wow, I'll do this system, I will get over 100% of my rent. It's proven, okay? It's proven. It's what I do in my business every day. Now, move on to Saturday. Saturday, we're going to have 2 sessions. One is how to fill your vacant unit yesterday. So just imagine having free resources to learn and how to market, advertise for free your vacant rental unit so that you get that thing rented before the tenant that's moving out moves out. Wouldn't that be awesome? Perfect tenant turnover is to hand the key from the one moving out to the one moving in. Yeah, that's exaggerated a little bit. You still would have to change the locks and the keys, but wouldn't that be perfect? That'd be awesome. We do that all the time. Zito in my office, 9 out of 10 times, 98 out of 100 times, she's got an already pre-approved tenant applicant waiting for this tenant to move out of this house or this apartment so we can sign the rental agreement papers and swap the keys. And think about this. My handyman in-house, the folks that go in there and kind of tweak it up there a little bit before putting a new tenant in there, they are under the gun big time because there's somebody breathing down their back ready to move in, okay? Instead of, okay, we'll put a sign in the yard for rent, and now, okay, well, I got as much time as I need to piddle fart around with this thing until they find a tenant, you see? Wouldn't it, just the pressure that goes on, and more of that makes it. And I just get excited about this stuff, Kim. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, some of the questions. I'm going to get into some of the questions that you odds are you have on your rental application, and most everybody else does too, and I do not. Okay. Now watch this. Most rental applications. This is a question for you, Kim. Okay. So I'd like for your participation on that. Does your rental application, or have you seen rental applications that ask, how many times have you been evicted?
Usually, they'll have that on there.
Yeah, okay, so they have that. And you know what? This is what the applicants that live in that world, okay, in that bubble of tenants, this is a question that they have kind of ingrained in their brain. And so when they see the word eviction and how many, that's what they immediately jump to. How many times have I been evicted? Okay? And so that's what most people have. I don't give a flying kahuna how many times I've been evicted. Ooh. My question is this. How many times has an eviction been filed on you? You see the difference, Kim?
Yeah, because they don't always get evicted. You might work something out before that happens, but you can still have it filed.
No, that's not why this question is important. The reason that this question is important, okay, because also, think about this. One of the other reasons that we can disqualify them is false information or inaccurate information submitted on the rental application. Okay, so my question is, how many times has an eviction been filed on you? But guess what their caveman brain reverts to? The question that they saw on everybody else's rental application that reads, how many times have you been evicted? Okay? And so they will think, when they read my question, says, how many evictions have been filed on you? That's not what registers in their brain. What registers in their brain is, how many times have I been evicted? And 9 times out of 10, they'll put 0. But then when you process your rental application, you will see that this bozo might have had 3, 4, 15, 18 evictions filed on them. Never set out, never found guilty, but the eviction process was started in the court system on them. Now, wouldn't you like to know that information perhaps maybe even better than a full-blown eviction?
Uh-huh.
So if your rental application says, how many times have you been evicted? And let's say they put 0, and you go and you search for how many times have you been evicted, and that comes up 0, it will never show that that process was started, say, 14 times on them, but it was dismissed or terminated because they worked out something with their current landlord. I would much rather know that information than how many times they've actually been set out, okay? Because that's going to give you a clue. Now, what if they got 14 of them way back, and the last one that was done was 2008? And then they had one 2007, 2006, 2005, 4. Okay, that makes a big difference versus one that was last month.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's a good one there. So how many evictions have been filed on you is the best question versus how many times. Now another question involves animals. Okay, because of ADA, the American Disabilities Act, I never use the word pets. Okay. Because in our world today, how many times have you, in the old days, we thought of a service animal as a CNI dog. And that's about all we saw. But in today's world, if you travel at the airport, I mean, when Beth and I travel, Eric and I, almost every time we go there, you'll see some goofy little foo-foo fluffy poodle or something like this, an emotional support animal, like Silence of the Lambs. Or you got another one that has a harness on, that says service animal, or emotional support, service animal, whatever, and they're walking this thing around. They got their pretty little badge and all this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? 99% of those that are wearing them harnesses and wearing them little badges and all that, it's all BS. It's all BS. The certification, everything. I know of 2 websites right now, okay, where you can go to, and let's pay $35 or $50, and you can have your own FIDO, okay, be issued, fill in the blank form. They're going to get a certification with an ID number and a control number from the National Registry of blah, 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 and service animal. It's got a picture of FIDO. It's got a picture of the ID and this and that. And then, that costs, say, $50, okay? So you print it out. Now you got that. You print it out in color, get it laminated, make it look official. Plus, you can buy a $35 little vest for FIDO. It's a service animal. Okay, and all these little goodies and trinkets and all this and that. Now, Kim, guess what? Me and you could go together and start a website and say, okay, we're going to do one. We're going to be the third one out there that we're going to sell these little BS certification forms for FIDO, and we're going to sell vests, and we're going to sell booties and helmets and toboggans and all for the dogs and the owners. And it's all BS. It has nothing to do with any kind of government agency or American Disabilities Act or any of that. So I have had several applicants try to BS us into saying that their pit bull was a service animal. And they got all this little goofy little certification. And I'm going to tell you this, mom and pop investors, they get scared of that. And what do? They make an exemption because they were certified. Airplanes are even guilty of it. They're not even challenging. If somebody shows up with FIDO and it says service animal, they just let them on. That's crazy. Beth wants to get her 2 dogs certified so we can take these Yapomatics onto the airplane. Yeah, they are Yapomatics. They done hurt him once, okay? Okay, let's move on to the next one, guys. Okay, and I hope you're taking notes. Another one is convicted felon. Now, you'll be surprised at this. You might be, oh, gosh, I can't do that. I can't answer that. Are you a convicted felon? Very simple answer, yes or no. And if they say yes, explain on the back. We got a little place for them to write that in. Now, you need to ask that in today's world. And here's why. Okay? Especially for those of you who have apartments, and we do too. You better ask that on there, along with making this part of your rental application processing procedures. Always, always, always check your state sex offender list. Okay, you got to do that. Here's what we found out. On a single-family house, that's not too bad, okay? But don't plug them in within 1,000 feet of a school or whatever your state's regulation is. Now, when it comes to apartments, here's where we had one of my fellow investors who works out this deal with a agency that's supposed to help screwed up people, okay? And this agency began helping sex offenders been released from prison. And this other investor had an arrangement with this outfit, this agency, to plug these people into his apartments. So without his knowledge, they plugged in a sex offender, a convicted sex offender that had been released. Two of them, she said, okay? And guess what? These convicted sex offenders, there were kids living in the same building. 10-year-old kid out in the front yard or backyard, wherever it is. One of the convicted sex offender goes up to the 10-year-old boy and tells the 10-year-old boy something outrageous we can't even say here. Ask him that question. The kid goes back and tells Mama, now what? You got to get that idiot out of there, okay? And it was, just imagine one of the worst questions that you could ever ask a 10-year-old boy to do for you. That's what this idiot did. And now they're stuck in an apartment. Not one, but two of them in an apartment building with kids. Talk about a mess, a disaster, lawsuit. Oh, my gosh. So you got to be careful on that. So that's why I'm passing on that one. What about a convicted felon that got convicted of dealing drugs? Okay, well, if they got convicted of dealing drugs in 2000 or 1998, and everything since then looks pretty good, I'm not going to hold that against them. But if they just came out of prison, okay, 6 months ago or even a year ago, and they're convicted of dealing drugs, no way. Adios. Okay? Next up, incomplete application. Incomplete application, that's your silver bullet. So that's why you want to always have the original set aside and the work copy set aside. And I've already gone over that. How to never disqualify an applicant. And that's what we do. Okay? My policy in my office is to never disqualify any application with two exceptions. Okay? And you got to remember the fair housing thing. The fair housing thing, guys, is there's 7 protected classes in America. And if you're not brushed up on your fair housing, please go there this evening, right after this webinar, and get your copy. Okay, it's free. It's all over the internet. Okay, Kim might even have it on the website. Only she can show it. Do you have that on there, Kim?
I think it's in the member library information on fair housing, but you can also go to fairhousing.org and download information as well. So it's easily available.
Yes, and with the fair housing thing, you might think, well, that just pertains to rental properties. Buster. No, go into any bank, you'll see fair housing poster. So it has to deal with financing, selling, renting, developing lots, anything to do with residential housing, period. Fair housing comes into play. Get that simple little poster, use the clear tape and put it on the back of your application you use when you hand out rental applications. Put it in, get that poster framed with a little 8.5 by 11 cheap $2 frame from Office Depot. Put it up in your office and display that thing everywhere, just like banks do and all that. They have tons of mystery shoppers out there, and they're looking to find somebody to make them the next fall guy or gal to promote their case and give them a huge tens of thousands of dollars fine, okay? So watch that one. Now, so never disqualify an applicant. How do you do that? So, Kim, I'm going to share with you one of the most typical, the most frequent thing that rental applicants try to pull over on us. And on my rental application, it says, list your residence, list where you live for the last 5 years. So we got 3 places for them to do. And so wouldn't it be great to have everybody only live someplace for, let's say, they all live 5 years or over, 7 years or over? But what you'll find is you'll have somebody that say they lived here for 1 month with mom and dad, and they'll have this for 1 year, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I get real excited and I smile a lot when somebody says they've been there for 7 years, been there for 8 years. Well, you got to verify it, okay? But if that's in fact true, odds are you got a pretty good person, pretty good applicant there. But what they'll do a lot of times is you'll see, okay, well, I live at 123 Main Street here. And then they're filling out their application and say, oh, let's see. And then I lived here at 2312 Yorkshire, and then I lived over here at 127 Adair. And so they put their times in there and all this and that. Now, Kim, let me ask you this. How many times have you had a rental applicant ask for a copy of the rental application they just handed you?
I don't know that I've ever had a tenant ask for that.
Same here. Thousands of them, tens of thousands of them over the years submitted. Not one person has ever asked for a copy of the rental application they just submitted. Now, if they're doing it online and all, sure, they're going to have that, okay? But a lot of them still fill out the paper applications. Even when they fill out the online applications, they don't remember what they filled in. And I doubt very seriously that they print it out and save a copy of what they submitted, okay? So here's what I'll find, and you can do this. So you kind of work up where they lived, okay? And I'll say this, 90% of the folks who turn in a rental application into my office, my real estate business, we never, ever run a credit report. Okay, and I'll explain that in just a second. I want to see how we're doing on time here.
We're a little...
Gone way over. Okay, so here's what we do. Let's say that you find, okay, when you check your local courthouse, your sheriff's department, whatever, and you find that they have had 6 different evictions filed on them. And you see one in here for Strawberry Ridge Apartments, okay? And so you look on their application and you don't see that in 2013 they listed they lived at Strawberry Ridge Apartments. So if you do it old school, what would happen is you ask them, did you ever live at Strawberry Ridge Apartments? No, I never lived there. Because they intentionally left that off their rental application so that that won't be used against them. Okay? You with me, Kim?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now you found that they've got an eviction on them from Strawberry Ridge Apartments. Now, that, in my book, that's not enough for me to disqualify them, okay? There's going to be other things that happen. You know, maybe they're a doper. Maybe you look somewhere and you see that they got a blunt, they got rolls of $100 bills, and they got a gun holding up and all this and that. Do you want to rent to that one?
No, probably not.
No, okay, but you can't use that as an excuse to say, you're out of here. So what I'll do then is I'll use that address they didn't put on there, where they got an eviction filed on them. I want to use that as my silver bullet to say, you're out of here, okay? But we're still not going to disqualify them. So here's what you do. I want you to think of acting like Leave It to Beaver's mom or Leave It to Beaver's dad, and the applicant is Beaver, okay?
Uh-huh.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be Leave It to Beaver's dad, and I'm going to call up Beav, who's the rental applicant. And so I call him up and say, hey, is this Beaver? Yeah, this is Beaver. Yeah, this is, what was his name? This is Ward. Okay, this is Ward, Beav. And do you have a moment to talk? You fill out an application to rent a home from Vista Properties. Yeah, I got that. Well, tell you what, I'm working up your application here, and let's see, it looks like you live now at 123 Meadowwood Circle, and then before that, let's see, you were at Strawberry Ridge Apartments, is that right? And so they're going, did I really put that on my rental application? Yeah, and then, all right, and then before that, you lived over on Preston, and that was 2327, and then you got the other one there on Adair, and that goes before that. Is that right? Is that right, Beav? Yeah, that's right. Now, what did you, being real sharp, like Columbo, what did you just pull off?
You got him to admit he lived at the place he was evicted from.
Bingo! Bingo! Now, you see how powerful that is versus, hey, Beav, I found an eviction on you over at Strawberry Ridge Apartments. Nope, wasn't me, somebody else. Somebody else has got the name Beav. That's what happened in the past. Now I want you to be sharper than them. Stay 2 steps ahead, okay? So now, when you verify that Beav lived at Strawberry Ridge Apartments, now here's what we do with Beav. Well, Beav, tell you what, okay, so working up your application here, I found a little problem that you have. It's not our problem, okay? It's his problem. Now, Beav, you know those Strawberry Ridge Apartment things? Remember that when you lived there? Well, those folks filed an eviction on you. He says, no. He says, I got all that cleared up. I said, well, you think you got it cleared up, B, but let me tell you something. Did you know that that thing is still in the courthouse? He goes, no, I didn't. No, I did not. No, there's something wrong with that. Well, tell you what, you got an ink pen, piece of paper, or pencil? Wait a minute. And I said, seriously, B, get a pen and pencil, because I'm going to give you this number here that you need to get that, because that's going to affect you from everything you do from here on. Okay, hold on. So write this number down, okay? It's 13CI 217-328-A. You got that, Beav? Yeah, I got it. Read it back to me. I want to make sure you got it right. Oh, you didn't write it down? No. You want me to help you? Yeah, well, write this down then, Beav, okay? And I don't want to waste your time or mine. So write this down. You want to write it down again now? Yeah, okay, so you repeat the process. Have him read it back to you. So here's what you need to do, Beav, okay? Right now, I got to put your application on hold. I'm going to set it on the back shelf here on the back burner. Okay, and I got to move forward with the other one. But here's what you need to do. I'll show you how you can fix this. You ready? Yeah. Okay, go down to district courthouse and have that number with you, and take that to the clerk or whatever in that district courthouse building, and tell them to get that pulled off of your file, that's wrong. It needs to be dismissed. Remove it from the courthouse records. Okay, and as soon as you get that done, Beav, give me a call. And then we can put you back in line and see what we have available for you then, okay? Now, did I disqualify him, Kim?
No, you just put him on hold while he solved his problem.
Yeah, weren't you the ward beaver kind of helping him out, showing him how he can solve his problem, showing the solution?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. So are they ever going to complain on you?
Probably not.
Will they ever call you back?
Probably not.
Never, they never have. Okay? So now, isn't that kind of beautiful on how you can never disqualify an applicant but still run your business properly?
Excellent.
Cool. So with that, that's just some of the tips, okay? Some of the tips and some of the features. If you like what you heard there, this is what we pulled off in 30 minutes. So just imagine what you're going to get at this training on September the 8th at marei.org. In that full-day Saturday workshop that deals specifically just with the rental application aspect, not the other things that we're going to cover on Tuesday evening. So with that, Kim, if you can see if anybody has any questions or you have questions yourself, I'll be glad to answer those. And before we pull the plug on this evening.
Well, we'll see if anybody will raise their hand. While we're waiting for them, what was my question? I think you answered most of them. What if you have an applicant that cannot read or write? Do you have them
okay.
friend?
Beautiful question, okay? And I'm going to tell you, old school that I used to do, which was wrong, and what I do today. Old school, when I first got started and I was attending guru workshop seminars, boot camps, things like that, they said, never ever give an application to an applicant and let them walk away, because they'll never come back. You want them to fill that out right now so that you can take advantage of that sense of urgency. So now you got a rental application, okay? And I drank the Kool-Aid back then and thought, well, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. I want to get an application. I don't want to walk away with it and never get one, okay? So here's what I learned. What I learned over the years, and this is what we do today. If somebody comes into the office, Brigitto's working with them, and they want a rental application, we give it to them, okay? And they said, well, I don't have, and here's what they'll do. There's a lot of people in the world, folks, especially, and I'm going to go with the stereotype of Kentucky maybe, okay? But there's a lot of folks out there, especially in the low income arena, okay, of America, that have trouble reading and writing. And they survive in life by keeping that hidden, okay? I know of two successful, very, very successful multimillionaire investors that cannot read or write, okay? They can sign their name. They know how to count numbers. They can count money just as fast as any money counting machine. And they can run those numbers, but they can't read and they can't write, okay? And they shared that privately with me over the years. So let's say you got somebody comes into your office, they talk fine, they look educated, maybe they're wearing a suit and tie and they got a job over wherever somewhere, who knows, and they want to take the application with them because they said they got to get to work and they'll bring it back tomorrow. What I found 9 out of 10 times there, those folks have a hard time reading and writing. Okay, and so what they do to save face in public, they'll say something like, well, I got to get to work, or I got whatever, got to pick up the kids, use anything to get out the door with that rental application. And then they go hook up with their sister, their family member, their friend, or whoever it is that helps them, like paying their bills once a month and things like that, and they take it to them. And they help them fill out that rental application, and then the applicant signs it. Then they bring it back the next day or whenever. And so then you move forward with the rental application. So here's what I've learned. If somebody wants to walk off with your rental application, this guy here, I will bend over backwards to help someone that's a little short on being able to read or write and this and that. And you know what? Because they could turn out to be one of your best tenants ever. Versus me thinking that I'm going to give a professional tenant who wants to rip me off, giving them an opportunity to do so. And you know what? I'll take any professional tenant that's out there that has a track record of ripping off previous landlords. Go ahead, sign up and come up to my team, okay? We'll clean their clock and send them home with their tail between their legs, okay? So I am all about helping out folks that are good, solid people, okay? The other thing I want to pass on there, I had a dag nabbit. Maybe I'll think of it here in a minute. Only clean and responsible people who pay rent on time may apply. Are clean people a protected class?
Okay.
Yeah. Are clean people a protected class?
No.
No. Okay. So I will disqualify somebody if they are dirty, filthy pig. And Beth is laughing again because I did that in front of her. And she said, oh, my gosh, you can't talk to people like that. I said, sure did. Didn't go to fair housing. And, dirty people are not a protected class. So we can disqualify them for that. Back to the questions there.
Let's see. I had another one. You mentioned we are keeping our rental applications for 7 years, which could become a large quantity of paper. Do they have to stay in original form, or could they be scans of the original form and keep it all digitally?
You can scan them and you can save them in digital format. That will work. Okay, that wasn't the case just 5 years ago, but today you can. Now let me clear this up. Me being a real estate broker, okay, I know that I have that 7 year. I got to save everything. Okay, every offer we make that's not approved, okay, got to be saved. Now, if you're not a licensed real estate agent or broker, okay, double check with your state fair housing. That might have a little lower guideline. Maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 3 years. I'm not sure, okay, but I want you to find out. You're in this business. You need to know what you can and can't do, okay? And so I'm going to pass that on to Kim to try to find that out, to share with all you guys as well, make it easy for you. But you got to hang on to those things, okay? And get your copy of the fair housing, okay? And if you don't have that, Kim, I've got a class, online video, that I'll allow you to put in your member library or something if they want to get a crash course on that in, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, okay?
Okay, that'd be great. I have a ton of notes from tonight, so we'll have a lot of new information. It looks like we've got all the questions. And
why don't you unmute everybody? Maybe they're playing like they don't want to talk again. Unmute everybody and let's see what we can pick up.
Let's see what we get. Hopefully we won't get anybody in the bathroom. I've had that happen. Anybody out there that we are unmuting everybody, just so you remember. And just one last chance if anybody else had a question they wanted to ask.
Good episode. Thanks for the information.
Okay, that's good. I got a question for you guys. Who's going to be there Tuesday night, September the 8th?
It makes us feel like...
Who's going to be there Tuesday night? Come on, somebody say something.
I'm going to be there Tuesday night. Brandon's going to be there Tuesday night. I'm pretty sure Bill's going to be there. Christopher's going to be there. They don't want to they don't want to talk. They're just raising their hands for me.
Okay, I got muted there. Okay, I got a little short thing I'm going to do for them before we sign off. And where did that go? I'm going to see if I can find it. So hang tight just a second. Okay, you ready? Watch this, Kim. You like that?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. And I guess I'll be talking to you on Tuesday night of this week. And we are going to be talking about the best free tool out there for us.
Cool. Adios, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.
What's left of it. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, here we are at the end of the call, and I don't know about you, but I have a page full of notes, and I'm actually going to have to go back and re-listen to this. I need to write down a few more things. So Mike, thanks for all of the great tips. I hope everybody really enjoyed it and want to go back and catch the replay of the webinar from Thursday if you missed it, and will be joining us on the call on Tuesday night. The best ever tool for landlords. It's free. If you haven't registered for that, just jump over to the website and click on not the register button, but on the actual word link that says register that takes you to go to webinar and get signed up there. And you can join us on Tuesday at 8. And then I hope everyone has marked their calendars. We'll be back from vacation or the holidays on Tuesday the 8th to get 10 proven keys to consistently get paid over 100% of your rents every month. We have door prizes and a ton of information from Mike, so I'm really excited. Pricing, remember, members attend free. First-time guests can attend free. Just have to pre-register. Everybody else, we would love to have you join, but if you still want to just come in and check out the meeting and think about joining, it's $15 to pre-register if you're not a member. And you have to pre-register online. If you just show up at the door, it's $25 at the door. We will want a check or a credit card. And that's September 8th, 6 to 9 p.m., Holiday Inn. And I just checked before the webinar. We have 100 seats for this room, and we have 50 people pre-registered already. So we will be standing room only on Tuesday. And then on Saturday, for everybody that's a part of Mary that want to get into real estate investing, the true way to wealth is having residual income, and one of the best residual incomes is a tenant rental relationship. And the best way to get started or to work with what you have is to learn Mike's landlording on autopilot. So join us on Saturday. He's going to have a ton of information on how to fill the vacants before the tenants move out. And then after lunch, how to screen the tenants in 15 minutes or less. And remember, we have the 2-for-1 special for members. Bring your spouse, your child, family member, or a business partner. And it's 2-for-1, $49.99. If you're not a member, it's $59 for one person and $79 for two people. And that is through the meeting day on the 8th. We could quite possibly spill out, so I would suggest registering early. And I will see you then. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for everybody for being on the call.